Welcome to the Let's Recognize Our Best podcast featuring Jason Zook. Know any unsung hero, outstanding educator, teacher, advocate, mentor, athlete, or coach who performs amazing deeds with only a smile and expecting nothing in return? This podcast is dedicated to showcasing the good deeds of others that impact our lives in meaningful ways. We believe that good deeds should never go unnoticed. In these times of uncertainty, it is the bright light in our lives that we see through the good deeds of others that shines through and guides us. We gain inspiration in honoring and recognizing those who are selfless and whose very presence empowers. We seek nominees for potential special guests from you, the audience. So let's recognize our best as we search for our larger purpose and meaning within ourselves, and as we showcase our brightest lights out there today.
Hello and welcome to Let's Recognize Our Best podcast. This is our inaugural episode. This is Jason Zook. It's a great pleasure I have the opportunity of introducing my personal mentor, Mr. Joe DiGiacomo, to the show today. He's one of these people that when I came up with the idea for this show, he fit the mold of what I would call the unsung hero who does a lot outside their normal means to help make people feel special in their own way and do a lot to motivate and guide others without expecting anything at all in return. And that's why I'm so excited to have Mr. DiGiacomo on the show today. It's one of those things, just a little background about myself. I grew up in New Jersey. So I grew up in a small town called Lodi, New Jersey, outside of New York City. And our town had some very instrumental people in our years growing up through high school. And Mr. DiGiacomo was one of those individuals. I had the benefit of knowing him for History 2 honors, Psychology, and Sociology between my junior and senior years of high school. And then after school ended and I went on to college at the University of Tampa, I had the benefit of keeping in touch with Mr. D, as we fondly refer to him as. One of the things you'll see while we talk today, and this is what I'm really excited about for the podcast, I want to encapsulate and really hone in on what makes someone a special mentor, what makes someone an outstanding educator. And I believe we're on a quest for that. And hopefully, starting with this episode today, we can learn some of those redeeming qualities so we can emulate them for others. A little bit about Mr. DiGiacomo. He's been an educator for 44 years. Between being a guidance counselor, a supervisor of social sciences, a teacher of social sciences, an adjunct professor at William Paterson University, teaching various subjects involving sociology and general psychology and others, Mr. D also has a master's degree in counseling. But it's not the education, what he does during the classroom hours that really matter. It's what he does to be authentic. And that's really big for me. If you've listened to my shows before, I really value authenticity. And we're going to really see that today. And that's why I'm so excited to have Mr. D come on the show and share these opportunities of discussion regarding this stuff. So welcome to the show, Mr. D.
Thank you, Jason. It's an honor. I appreciate that, coming to you live from New Jersey.
I just want to thank you for coming on. I know it's not something you haven't really been on podcasts much, right?
Never. This is all new to me, Jason, but it's good to see you anyway.
Normal people just pick up the phone and call you. I decided to do an interview.
I know. That's my mode. That's my social media.
I want to ask you, Mr. D, when you first became an educator 44 years ago, did you ever think 44 years later you'd be interviewed about being an outstanding educator and mentor to others?
Absolutely not, Jason. I don't think any educator goes into education thinking that even today, if you were to go into education today with all the social media and all the bells and whistles that are presented today to make people public, you go into the field. Now, as you said, and I'll kind of echo to what you said, is that the unsung situation, you kind of just sit in the background, do your thing, and hope for the best. And you don't really know, at least I found in my 40 some odd years and in life in general, you don't really know what kind of an impact that you do have on people or individuals. And just by one thing that you say or one thing that you do, your mannerisms, your eye contact, anything of that nature, that those little things that you maybe even brought to my attention that I never even realized that even the fact that me being a mentor, I had no idea. you don't have any idea that you are.
I think you just do that role. It just fits what you do. I think mentoring is just something it's inherent in you. And it's guidance for other people. I got that from you mentoring me in high school and then going into college. And then I learned how to do that myself through my own little way of handling. But I think it's one of those most rewarding things.
Probably was innate for you, Jason. It probably was innate, but it just had to be sparked. Go into those helping fields or those, helping jobs, careers, whatever they might be, counseling or teaching or nursing or, what you do with the podcast. I mean, you do it for that. This is a perfect example of you doing a helping situation, advising situation.
I love doing this. This is something I found on my own way, Mr. E.
I could see that.
And the pandemic kind of just brought it out even more because
no kidding.
You're right.
No kidding.
From your vantage point as an educator, what have you enjoyed the most about being an educator over the years?
Well, I like the relationships. I like having fun in the classroom. I like the interaction in the classroom. I like meeting the new students, but also their families. And that's probably also why I went to counseling as well for 28, 29 years. Counseling, where I actually kind of developed a relationship, manifested a relationship with not just the kids, but the families. I often hear, and it was kind of interesting to your point, Jason, about what you do where you don't realize what you do for somebody. I would hear the family say, well, you've done so much for my family. I don't even know it. I didn't even pick it up. Good for me, but I good for you. I said, but I didn't even know it. And I think that is kind of the reward you get. That's so non-tangible, maybe. Because you don't get a lot of residual effects automatically in education. It's more intangibles. And also later on, like now, we've been keeping in touch all along, right? I mean, from when you got on the plane to go to Tampa, right?
I started college in 1993. So we're at 2021. Is that 28 years?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I'm the worst in math.
That's the new math. But now you are like kind of the educator to me. I'm sitting in the desk that you were in that first seat there, Jason, raising your hand in the classroom. Now I'm in the seat raising my hand. And I still learn.
I love that analogy, Mr. D. I really do.
I'm on the other end, Jason. I'm your student.
Student. We're all students of each other. When did you first learn that you wanted to pursue education as a career in your life?
Good question, Jason. I did not. I went into education by default. I originally, believe it or not, I don't know why, started in social work program. And probably that's the only program I got into. I don't know. That's where I'm talking the 70s, 1970, 1971. So, the height of the Vietnam War. A lot of people were getting accepted to college, backdoor way into college. That's a history lesson. But anyway, I got in and they closed out the department. So I majored in social studies, sociology, concentration in social sciences. What was I going to do? So I went to see somebody in the office, I had to find my way. No guidance counselors, nobody to guide you. You had to figure it out. And I had to see somebody and they said, well, why don't you get your certificate in teaching? I go, ooh, I never thought of that. I guess I could, because that's a whole other area of study. So I had to do the social sciences, take everything in social sciences from European history, economics, sociology, psychology, all the social sciences, encapsulate them as much as I possibly can. Economics wasn't my favorite, but I taught it though, and then get the certificate, what does that mean to me? I had to get state license and everything. I didn't know what that meant to me. So I did it. I did my practicum, and then I did a student teaching, which was basically an in-service teaching, which is almost like an apprenticeship. I skipped over my student teaching and I had my own classroom in a Catholic elementary school, parochial elementary school. And I did a whole year of that. where somebody from the college would come and observe me. And that was my student team.
Review? That was your review?
Yeah, that was like combat. So, because I didn't know, every day I didn't know what the hell I was doing, Jason, to be honest with you, but figured it out based on getting myself on my feet and figured it out. I went through the year, 8th graders, Jason. So, I mean, I had to figure it out, right? I taught 5th through 8th social studies. So you can't imagine me teaching 5th grade, right, Jason? So anyway.
I met you in high school, so I would have met you by junior year.
Yeah, that was my niche, Jason. I went up the ranks. Middle school, high school. So I almost dropped out of teaching midway by December. I was exhausted. I was fatigued. I was burnt out quickly. I think you can understand based on my personality and based on doing too much, because we all think we didn't show balance. I didn't show balance in when I first started out. That's important. You know that. And now I know that. I worked 2 jobs because I had to support my way through college and everything. And I worked 2 jobs, teaching, and I worked in retail at night. So I was kind of burnt out. By December, I said, I'm leaving this gig. I'm not doing it anymore. I had enough support systems where people talked me out of it. So I'll finish the year, see where it goes.
Thank God they talked you out of that. I can't imagine if we didn't have you.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. You don't realize those kind of things.
No. And I said, no, and I didn't think I was going to go back after my first year. And I got certified. Actually, I was certified then after that. And I worked in the summer, believe it or not, Jason, a construction company in payroll. And I knew somebody in the department. They gave me a job in the summer because I had to work in the summer. And plus I was getting married. I was getting engaged. So
you're how old at that point? Your early 20s?
I was mid-20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they offered me a job in the fall. And it was a real push-pull because I really didn't know if, in fact, I wanted to give up teaching completely, but I didn't know if I wanted to go back to it. But I applied here and there, and I applied into this high school, Newman Preparatory High School in Wayne, New Jersey, small co-ed parochial high school. They called me in, right? They gave me a job. They said, "Oh, sure, yeah." They interviewed me twice, and they gave me a job. It's my first high school job. My first taught sophomores and freshmen. And I went back to the construction company. They said, "You sure, Joe? We want to hire you." They thought I was dependable. I was, teachers are dependable, and you do the job. Blah, blah. I said, "Well, I may as well, put my degree to use, figure it out," because I was figuring it out. Taught the 1 year. I had a good experience. I learned my management. I learned my technique. Then I taught juniors and seniors psychology they gave me and sociology. I kind of liked that. I found my niche again because I was certified in psychology because it's a separate certification in teaching psychology. So they were great to have. They were glad to have me. I taught juniors and senior psychology. They thought that was great. And then it's kind of, that was 1981, 82. So
did you at that point think, that's the stuff start to click for you as you started gaining more experience, how to connect?
Yes. And then I was going, and my friend of mine actually told me, I was going for my master's when I was in Newman Prep, and a guidance counselor friend of mine, who I'm very close with him today. We're both retired. We're very close. I'm his daughter's godfather. But he said to me, "Joe, why don't you go and get your guidance master's certificate?" It was a certificate and then a master's. I go, "All right." I went, "Okay." I said, "Okay." I was looking for I was going to go for social sciences.
Just dabbled in it. Dabbled in it to do it.
That's it. I said, "Okay." And plus the fact, this wouldn't fly today, Jason, this statement that I'm going to make. Plus the fact they didn't have many male counselors. They were looking for male guidance counselors. There weren't many. As a matter of fact, just before I retired, I was the only male in the department.
That's interesting. Why is that?
Because males usually go into guidance as a stepping stone to administration. They use that as a segue to go higher. Males usually stay in the classroom for about 10 years to 15 years. Then they go out into another segment of education if they're going to stay. They're kind of coerced to do that. They probably all go into their master's program in administration. I do have my certificate in supervision. I was in guidance probably a long, long time. I was a rarity for 28 years. Like even
I would call it a rarity. I would call it a blessing.
Yeah, from your perspective, and I think the parents felt that way too. The parents felt that way too, because I knew what I was talking about, Jason, kind of, and I was able to talk to them like I'm talking to you, not like, scripted.
Yeah.
And I knew my stuff, so they felt secure. And they were younger than me, the parents, by the time I retired. So my friend talked me into it. And then I got my certificate, first of all, which was only required. Then I started applying for jobs in counseling. And I got it. And I went for an interview. He mock interviewed with me, my friend. I went for the interview and I got the job. That was in a public high school. I actually only stayed there 3 years, and that's when I came to Lodi to teach psychology. And because I felt I wasn't finished with the classroom, so I left briefly the counseling program. I was a little bit too stifled.
How many years were you at Lodi High School, by the way?
9.
You were there 9 years. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then as a matter of fact, what happened was word of mouth. I didn't apply anywhere. I was in Lodi. I didn't apply anywhere. Some director of guidance called me and said, I got your name from somebody. Would you be interested in coming in for an interview with guidance? And he said, I heard you were very good at what you do. I said, oh, that's nice to hear. I hope so. He goes, yeah, I'd like you to come in. I'm a new director. Please come in and come for the interview. And I did. And he said, well, I want to hire you. I heard good things about you from your older boss, that your first job. And he's like, oh, okay. I said, I was torn then because I had gained this relationship with Lodi and the kids.
Yeah.
I was very torn. But I figured financially it was more money. B, I knew my stuff.
More opportunity too.
Yeah, more opportunity. C, I was already teaching at the college. So, I had that I got that out of my system, so to speak. And here I am. I went to Montville as my final hurrah.
How long were you there for? At Montville?
12 years.
12 years. So think of all those. Have you ever figured out how many students you've actually interacted with over your
God, somebody said that to me. The one thing, you must have seen thousands of faces. I go, yeah, probably between the teaching and the counseling and whatever. I had a lot of different jobs in education. Education was very good to me, Jason. I was very lucky.
You're good to it.
I want to think so. And I thank you for saying that. But I was very lucky in education because I moved from place to place for change of pace, for more money, for different reasons. And I think that I gained so much from the experience of that. But today they would probably never hire me because they like people to stay where they are. You get so pigeonholed sometimes, Yeah,
you had so many skill sets to draw from.
I did. And I learned a lot. And I learned a lot of different skill sets from different places. So, and a lot of mistakes, Jay. I made a lot of mistakes, but probably still do. But I made a lot of mistakes, but I live with them. I live with my decisions.
I ask you this, one of the things I thought was exceptional about you, Mr. D, in my life as an educator was that you had us do these very creative exercises. The trips you got to take us on between.
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Junior year and senior year. I think each class we did an amazing trip. And I remember going to a prison with you. Rahway.
We were in prison, Jason. No, I'm only kidding.
You took us to a prison, right? And then you took a mental health institution, Greystone, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. And I can't remember where we went for history, but I just remember those type of exercises. You really invested your time and interest in us. And I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite exercise that you got to do over the years as an educator that you really felt made an impact on your students?
Well, probably, and I think you mentioned it, Jay. Well, those trips, I like the trips because I was a good field trip person. You know, you went to for the history, you went to the UN in Ellis Island. So
okay.
The UN. The exercise that I learned from somebody else actually in my early years was at the end of the year, especially for seniors, to write a letter to themselves on how they evaluate themselves at this particular point of their careers or their life, and where they are now, where they hope to be, what did they like about themselves, they didn't like about themselves, what they would do differently. You know, I just gave the whole period for you to just journal all that information.
That was powerful.
And then people were writing. I didn't think I thought they were going to say nothing. People were writing and went over the period and came back and did it in the next period.
I looked at mine. You sent it to us a year later, and I still have it. I can't find it right now. I looked at it about a year ago, and I read the letter in the manila paper in the envelope. I had it in a picture album. And when you read what you wrote when you're 17 years old and have the ability to look at it when you're 44 years old during the pandemic, it's very inspiring to see how my mind thought at that point in my life versus where I'm at now.
You developed.
And so your original exercise went to a much larger spectrum than just a year after.
Well, everybody reminds me of that I see. But even that year, Jason, from when you left Lodi High School to go to Tampa, and then after Tampa, and then you get this letter a year after you went through that experiential time period in your first year at Tampa, right? And you read this, you were a completely different person.
I was amazed back then, just as much as I'm amazed now thinking about it.
What did you say to yourself? You know?
Yeah. I believe, that journaling aspect of things, I think that's kind of, inspired me to be where I am now about journaling, telling people to chronicle, journal, express. Don't hold back how you feel about things in your life. You need to express it.
Just bullet things down. It just is kind of therapeutic, don't you think? I thought it was a therapeutic. Well, psychology, because it was good for psychology. I thought it was kind of therapeutic for psychology.
I want to ask you this question, Mr. D. If you could spend a day with anyone, who would it be and why? And this could be anyone throughout history and no limits of who it would be.
Oh, my goodness. Well, when I taught history, my favorite presidents were probably Franklin D. and Truman, probably. I'd probably say Truman from a psychological point of view. Because he had to make some harsh decisions based on dropping the bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I would like to see the process. I would like to have seen the process and the time, because we're just so anti everything now. And that to make a decision like that today, you ask yourself, would he have done it today? You know what I'm saying? In terms of
too much polarization, I think.
Yeah. So I think just right off the cuff, probably, because there's so many interesting people in history and in psychology, I probably would want to sit with Freud, probably see what really made him tick. But, those are the only two I could think of right off the top of my head from an educator's perspective.
I'm going to ask you a question I just thought of.
Uh-oh.
What do you believe makes someone an exceptional mentor to someone else? What attributes?
That's a good question, Jason. Who the heck knows? I think there are many different aspects to that question. Personality, genuineness, truth, calmness, and also the willingness to teach, and the willingness to accept mistakes, and the willingness to admit that you make mistakes. Because I had a lot of interns in my last couple of years in guidance, in counseling. And one intern said to me, you would appreciate this, Jason. I'm not one size fits all. What's good for Jason Ciafalo is not good for Joe DiGiacomo as far as seeing them, right?
Yeah.
So counseling them and directing them. Like you went to UT. I wasn't going to push you over. You weren't prepared to go to Harvard at the time.
No.
Right? So, I would say UT is where you belonged, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, she said to me, she was an older woman going into counseling, but she wasn't really going to, and I had to tell her that she wasn't really going to like school counseling at all because she wouldn't let the kids talk. She would just feel it necessary to give advice. So she said to me, Mr. DiGiacomo, she goes, what theory do you support? She goes, what theory do you follow in your counseling? I said, I suppose I should be telling you Rogerian, and I suppose I should be telling you psychoanalytic, and I suppose I should be telling you, whatever. And I said, but I'm eclectic, man. I said, whatever comes in, I fit the mold, and I'm going to give that kid, and treat that kid with whatever counseling skill I have. She goes, yeah, but you'd be surprised. She said, you might not name it, but you use many of the theories right here. I watch you. She said, you use many of the theories. I said, I know. I know. But I don't say, okay, here's Rogerian,
Apply
okay.
yourself and your actions and your
I don't say, I just say, okay, here's Jason Ciafalo. And this is how I'm going to handle Jason, because I know him.
Mr. D, I was going to tell you this. I was talking about how students appreciate you. I actually have someone on here that wants to say hi to you.
Oh, boy. Who's that?
We'll find out in a second.
Who is that? Is that Carla?
Yeah.
Is she coming on?
Yeah, she's connecting.
That's Carla, right?
Yeah.
Carla
Pereira.
Yes. Who's all these people?
I have some extra people that are joining in, I guess, too.
Oh, my God. Joe Viscoglia? Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Mr. D.
Oh, my gosh.
Hey, now.
Hi, Joe. Oh, my God. You're so
Hopefully this room will be big enough for two Joes.
Hell yeah. Why not? How you doing, Joe? Welcome to the show, Joe.
Hey, Jason.
Joey, how are you?
Hey, better than I deserve. Great to see you.
Oh, I'm sure you deserve a lot more, Joe.
We were just
great to see you. You look great.
Joe, we were just talking about how Mr. D is very influential in our lives. I am you.
I am? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, we got two Jaeger twins in the house here.
Are the two there? One?
Yeah, Beth is jumping aboard with her maiden name all the way from Texas.
Where's Beth? Oh, Beth. I see it popping up. I can't tell who's on what.
Right.
This social media, Joe. It's got me on.
Yeah, how about it?
Where's my overhead projector? That's what I want to know.
What I wanted to do for the last segments of this is make it more social and interactive. So
where's my film projector, Jason?
I figured if we had some students join in and discuss things with you, it'd probably be the best way to celebrate the fact that you're such a strong force as an educator.
Oh, my God. And
so many years later.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jason. I'm sweating. It's amazing. You're all like men and women. Older, right? How old are you?
At this point of our life. Yeah.
And how are you? See what I mean? Where's my projector, Joe? Where's my overhead?
Right. Yeah, the technology may differ, but
you think
the timeless wisdom goes through the years.
Joe, I always ask somebody.
Carla.
Carla, hi.
Hey.
Hello.
How are you, Carla? University of Scranton.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Hello. Lovely to see you.
Same here, Carla. How are you?
Very well, thank
You all
you.
look so terrific.
Carla's bringing some.
Remember
Carla's
Tracy,
bringing some.
Mr. D?
Oh my God, Tracy, how are
Hi,
you?
Mr. D. I'm good. I am so happy to see you.
Same here. Holy cow.
You're
Welcome.
awesome. You are awesome.
Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
This is
Carla's bringing some international flavor to the Zoom, huh?
That's right. I'm actually dialing in all the way from the south of England.
Oh my God, cheers.
That's so great. I love your accent.
Red
You're
glass
not
of wine
kidding.
going, which I've just put down because I thought like they're gonna think I'm an alcoholic or something. But no,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
actually hosting a dinner party. So
Carla, I was gonna. I have my glass of wine right here, Carla. No problem. I should have had him in the classroom. Actually, who would know?
All right.
That would have been amazing. Some did, though. Some did.
That's true. That's true.
I just want to welcome everybody for joining in on this and thank you all
That's
for
true.
participating. I mean, it's such an honor to have you here and join in. And what I wanted to do is just kind of share with Mr. D how instrumental he was in our lives. And he may not even realize it. I mean, so many years later, 28 years after we graduated, I still think every day of how grateful I am to the lessons he taught me, not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom to, be your best and strive for who you want to achieve in your life. And just the messages, I think that's something that we really can appreciate at this stage of our lives as parents, adults, educators ourselves. And it's one of those things I think we could all be so grateful for. And that's why I wanted to have you on, Mr. D. And that's why I wanted to have all of you join us because of how exciting it is to have.
This is
kind of a
amazing
moment.
stuff, isn't it? This Zoom stuff.
It's powerful.
It's
a
powerful, right? I mean, Carla's in England. She's doing cheerio. With everyone. Joey, where are you? Pennsylvania?
I am Metro Philly. It's a big
Oh,
youth soccer tournament weekend. So
Yes.
taking a break from the field to give some love here.
Okay, I love you too. Tracy, where are you from?
I'm in Metuchen, New Jersey.
Oh, down in the Middlesex.
Yep.
Where
Mhm.
where they advertise all the time now.
Yep. I'm Middlesex, supposedly. Whatever. Central Jersey, but no more Bergen County for me.
No, huh? It gets a little
No.
stale. I know.
But I love
Carla,
it.
where's Beth and Ann? They left the room.
Can you hear
At
me?
the Zoom? Where's
There's
Ann?
Beth.
There's Beth.
You both.
Welcome.
I can't see her.
Where are you from, Beth? Can you hear us? Might be audio.
You might be able to hear Ann. I'm in Southbrook.
Oh, okay. New Jersey. Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. Welcome.
That's in Arlington, Texas.
It's a pleasure to have you on. And
Oh,
join
it's
us today.
awesome.
Ann, the twins, the dynamic twins.
Does anyone have a story about Mr. D that they want to share with
Oh, boy.
us?
I would like to start and share my most memorable lesson with Mr. DiGiacomo. And that was when we were asked to write a letter for our future selves. I just thought that was really powerful. And my sister and I were actually in the same class. She was 1 year ahead of me, but somehow we ended up in the same class. And I remember writing and saying we just had a really big disagreement, not to say a fight, that's a bit strong, but quite a severe disagreement. And my whole letter was about, I hate her guts and all this stuff. And then
Very
a year
therapeutic.
later, I had the pleasure of receiving that letter to remind me how much, I of course, everything had blown over by
Of
then.
course. And where you were at that particular time in your life, right? And how it was cathartic, Carla.
It was amazing. And I also want to say that, I absolutely love psychology. And, unfortunately, I didn't continue with that at university level, because, of course, Miss Paparosi was also one of my
Of course.
biggest. So, I went down to secondary education French. However, I have passed on my love of psychology to my daughter, who is right now at college level studying psychology.
Oh, my God.
See, but the other day I sat with her doing the Pavlov's dog unconditional.
Oh, my
I loved it. I was like, oh my God. And then when I heard about this, I was like, I need to say hello. Like, this is meant to be.
That's nice. That was very good. What's the unconditioned stimulus, Carla?
That's right. Oh, don't go there. The bell at one point was, but then it became the conditioned.
That's the neutral stimulus, Carla. I know.
And another thing I want to share with you.
Thank you.
Is actually a little bit more personal, and it's that back in September 2011, when I was 37 years old. Sorry, getting a bit emotional. I got diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I think it was through learning psychology and the power of the mind that 10 years later, exactly on October 12th, this month, October 12th,
Wow.
like on Tuesday, I celebrate my stage 4 breast cancer diagnosis. And I'm alive and kicking and doing so well. And I think because I turned to, the power of the mind and, everything I learned through psychology and how it all works, the psyche works. And I thought, like, I can do this. I don't know. I don't know what is working for me. My oncologist is like, look, Carla, there's no data for people like you. All I know is that I feel amazing. I have treatment every month still. But yeah, I'm absolutely doing amazing and so glad to be here for my kids. I have a girl and a boy, and
Nice.
And it was all because of you.
Thank you so much, Carla. That well, you have the power for yourself, and I just gave you a little knowledge. That's all. That's excellent.
But that window of opening that window to how powerful the psyche is, and all.
Yes, isn't it though?
It's amazing.
I love all of it. It's amazing. It is absolutely, and we only know like a fraction of actually what is there to know. There's going to be so much more stuff ahead of us.
Isn't there?
There's so much more to discover. It's amazing.
I
Anyway,
still teach it. I still teach it, Carla, on the university level. I teach a class on general psych at Caldwell University and in William Paterson. And it's right, that little Catholic college. And where's Joey? Joe. They had to find me an overhead projector in the university. I think I have the only overhead projector in the university, and I just slide underneath.
Don't leave class without it.
You would appreciate this. I know you all would appreciate this. That they said to me, "Well, you could tether." First of all, I hadn't know what tether meant. You could tether your computer. Your personal computer onto the one there and just put your slides up or your what do they call them? Not slides, PowerPoint.
PowerPoint, yeah.
Presentation.
I said, I went like this. I don't know. I said, first of all, I'm not bringing my personal computer up here. So I just have my board, my chalkboard, or whatever I use, the whiteboard, and I do it. And I still do, as I talk, I still write on the board and carry on. I still carry. I get a little tired though, Carla. I get a little fatigued now. I used to walk around a lot. Remember, I used to walk around a lot. Now,
Yes.
sit on somebody's desk. You can't do that today, right? Right, Trey? You can't be friendly today. I would hug you when I was. I can't hug anybody. I can't hug again. I'd be, a pervert. If I hug somebody. It's terrible because I get, I see people that probably need it more so than you probably did ever in your time, but you can't do that today.
Mr. D, I want to ask Carla. First of all, I want to thank you so much for sharing that heartfelt stuff.
Yes, Carla.
My prayers are so cool with you and so grateful that you're a survivor and you're doing all the amazing things you're doing. And sharing that on the show today is such a positive. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for making it possible, Jason. It was amazing. It was just at the right time that I thought, I need to click back with this person because, he's been such a part of my life unknowingly that it's really
Remember when we were talking about Scranton, Carla? That's the spot for you, right?
I mean, I coming from a really modest background, I would have never thought I would have ended up in Scranton, Pennsylvania at the University of Scranton. So thank you again for pushing me. And, I had a career on Wall Street because of it. I had the confidence to move to England and I'm married with, 2 wonderful children. And
This is why I want to have this. Give this example to life, you know?
Nice.
Tracy, do you have any experiences you wanted to share?
Me?
For Tracy, I could see she was.
Tracy, I see
Oh,
Tracy.
no, I was just going to say, like, my love for psychology continues. I'm an occupational therapist. I loved your class back then. I work with the mentally ill teenagers and adults. And my psych started way back and you picked up on it. So,
Very good.
You were one of the first people that was like, Tracy, you're always helping other people. You're always there. And, how are you doing? And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know and you were one of the people that was like, get in tune with yourself, really just talk to people and let people know what you're feeling. And I was like, I was blown away. And thank God you said that, because it was awesome to have that support, because you took it to the personal level.
Right? You're in a great field. Growing. Yeah. Oh my God. For disabled, my gosh.
It's and people are like, I've been in my job for 16 years and,
God bless.
Here and there, but people are like burnout and this and that. And then with COVID and all this stuff. But I was like, I'm just still really passionate to help those people in needs. And psych to me is like Carla said, it really is your mind and your attitude. And it's great. So, but I really am thankful that I had you, because I had many good teachers, but you stand out as one of the top there.
Yeah. Well, and I just, recently found out, like, as you get older, you really do have to have balance, right? In terms of like what you do, because you really could get burnt out. Yeah. And I think balance is so important. I really didn't know it then when I taught your class. I didn't really know balance. I was always doing something for the class, but I realize how important that is, now,
Right.
It's
powerful.
Yeah, it is powerful.
It is balance. A lot of us are out of balance. It's a lot to, finagle, teaching, life, marriage, kids, like, there's just so much, whatever medical conditions, there's just so much that comes. So
unbelievable how you people are so resilient.
We
Right.
learn from the best.
So successful.
We learn from the best.
Thank God. Thank you. And you're so successful. Is that Beth there too? Is Beth there?
I think so.
No.
That's the one that's on the phone.
On the phone. And do you have anything you want to add? I feel bad. I want to make sure I get everyone a chance to talk.
Oh, sure. So I'm a special ed teacher in South Jersey. So again, fitting with, using everything you taught us when we were in school. Every in-service I've ever gone to, every contest I ever entered for winning books as a teacher, or anything that you had to refer to, like a favorite teacher who inspired you, it's always you.
Thank you, Beth.
Set of books from Meg Cabot one year, by the way. So
thank you so much, Beth.
Thank you.
This can't be this is the best testimonial in my career, period. Hands down. Beth, did you have someone, a relative at Ramapo?
No, I don't think we have any relatives at Ramapo.
Oh, okay. I was awarded an award from Ramapo for Counselor of the Year or whatever, and it was your last name, and it was the woman that the woman that offered it. She had your last name, and I said,
well, if her name is Barbara Jager, I hear about her a lot, but I've never met her.
What's
Barbara Jager, maybe?
Barbara Jager, yes.
I hear all about her, but she might be a relative at some point.
Yes, it was the Barbara Jager Award. It was the first time it was offered through Ramapo. Oh. And I was so taken aback by it, because I worked a lot with admissions counselors from Scranton too, Carla. And I worked a lot with admission, and they voted me to get the award. That was very nice. I thought that was hands down the best experience. This is the best experience.
I know, like, our big push now is like social and emotional learning.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah. I feel like you were doing that light years before anybody else even thought about it.
I should have written a book, right?
They
would have said, what's wrong with this guy? Social, emotional. What's he talking about? That would be like Freud. What's he talking about?
Oh, gosh.
Hey, Joe, do you have anything you want to add? I want to make sure I have you a chance to talk.
Sure. Well, Mr. D, this is an absolute delight. I happen to have my oldest as a junior in high school right now, and he's taking psych. And unlike my experience, he is taking AP Psych,
of course.
But unlike my experience, he's not fond of his teacher. So I'm trying to tell him, hey, play the long game. You know, bring what you can to the table.
Always.
But I believe I'm going to be sharing plenty of stories with him during the year to fill in the gaps, so to speak. Just last night, my wife and I come back from a movie, and our 14-year-old daughter asked us about the movie. And in a couple of minutes, I kind of gave her, it was a historical movie. And she's like, Dad, why didn't you become a history teacher? To which I told her, well, you know, to me, it's no accident that I ended up majoring in history and minoring in psych in my undergrad years, because in many ways, I was following in some big footsteps there. So, Mr. D, I have an image of the thinking face, and you got the finger still going there, right? And you know,
this.
Yeah, yes. The frequency with which you do that has me thinking about a verse in the New Testament that I think is very relevant for today, that says everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. And I think of the ways in which you modeled for us in the classroom how to be rigorous and passionate about ideas, but respectful of people in doing it. And it speaks volumes to why it is we're sharing the love today, because you really modeled for us in those formative years what it looks like to model that rigorous thinking, but respect, you know, for others in the process. And you know, our connection extended beyond the classroom as well. I think of pinch hitting for you at one of your classes. I think you were at William Paterson at the time, and here I was working in admissions, and you asked me to fill in, and I'm like, I'm way over my skis here in terms of doing that. And yet, to me, it was a testament of your belief, right? In the way in which you went about pouring into us and kind of exuding that confidence.
I didn't even think twice about it, did I? Joe, would you fill in?
You did. No, you didn't. I was like, where is this coming from? And exactly right. It was just matter of fact. That's just the way you roll. And I think of the dinners we had with Roy Gatilla and Joe Scaturo.
Oh, God. He's my accountant. He's my accountant, by the way.
Is he still? How about that?
He's my accountant, by the way, Roy.
Yeah.
We do a lunch before he does my taxes. I said, don't tell me I owe anything, Roy. What can you do? What can you do with that decimal point?
I see. So working some mind games. I see how that goes. So Mr. D, also want to share a word from Mark Leone. So Mark right now is actually on a trip with Brian Bonomo and Jason Sorrell.
Oh my God.
And they were hoping to join the Zoom, but I thought in case they couldn't, here's what he wanted to say. He said, in case we can't join, please extend our love. And personally, tell Mr. D that I fondly remember getting a full education on shaving. Not sure he was aware at the time, but I had no father or positive male influencer in the home to learn about shaving. I remember buying Noxzema shaving cream because I would marvel at how smoothly shaven he always was, and walked me through his ritual and highly recommended the product.
I forgot that.
I'll tell you, even in something little like that, Mr. D, it speaks volumes to the way in which your influence went beyond the curriculum. So
it went beyond classical conditioning, Carla.
Yes, you got it right. You probably had a master plan in place, but to us, we continue to be benefactors of your influence. So,
oh my God, I remember
blessings
that
to you, Mr. D.
I remember that. Him asking me, what do I use?
Oh my God.
I don't normally get emotional on these type of things, and that made my ears that made my tears come out of my eyes. Like, that was such a touching. I mean, everything on this has been touching,
Amazing.
but that by itself, I have to tell you, I got touched by that. I appreciate that exchange.
Oh my God, that was Mark, right?
Yeah,
you got it. Yeah, and Mark is down here in Metro Philly, so we get to continue, sharing that love together.
Tell him thank you to remind me of that moment. I remember it vividly. Him asking me, because I just thought it was so left field, and I didn't even think anything of it by telling him either. And I think, did I get him a jar of Noxzema? Maybe. I might have given him one. I might,
Yeah. Well, and Mr. D, as a parent now of teenagers, I try to always impart the long game with them, right? To say, listen, school is going to be boring. It's not going to be thrilling and passionate all the time. And yet your ability to learn how to think and communicate clearly with people will go a long way to your being, a positive influence no matter what you do in life. So thank you for planting that seed in me. And now by extension, being able to do that,
well, you're all fine people, that's for sure. You're all fine people. And that is nice to see. You're all fine human beings, boy.
Well, thank you for shaping us.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to have this, is to say thank you to you directly, Mr. D, at this stage of your life. So
Oh my gosh.
The love extends beyond.
Never would have expected it, Jason. You are like, you orchestrate something of this nature,
My honor for you, sir. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add? I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to
so Beth is chiming in on the chat there.
Oh, I see that. I see it.
She's on a work call, it says.
Okay.
I'll read it into the record. I'm acting like I'm in court. Sorry, guys. Hey,
I'm so very busy. Everybody's so busy.
I'm at work at KD College Prep, where I work to help the next generation of kids go to colleges of their dream. I just used my letter of intent to get my college access counseling certificate for Rice University. So she's at work right now, but she wanted to show up moral support and express her gratitude. So thank you for expressing that, Beth. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Beth is working on PSATs. Remember that? Nobody thinks that way anymore in the PSAT format, Right?
That's Mr. D. I want to ask you, Mr. D, if you were to describe your teaching style in one word, what would it be and why?
If I was to describe my teaching?
Yeah, your teaching style in one word, what word would that be and why?
Very natural. I think somebody said to me that I'm the same way in the classroom as I am outside the classroom. I just have a conversation. I'm just more conversational in the classroom. Somebody said that to me, described it. Somebody in the college level said that. I think I was on Rate My Professor. Hold that number. How do you like that? How do you like
Ridiculous.
That?
No.
How do you like that? Then this is how they take you too, though, by the way.
Yeah.
Somebody said that I have just a very conversational way of teaching. It's like I have a conversation more in my lectures than I do, and that's the way I think. So I guess it's natural, Jason. I don't know what to say.
Where did you get the word funky from?
Beg pardon?
Funky?
Oh, well. So everybody reminds me of that, Bunksters. But
I was just curious. I wasn't sure where you got that.
My father used to say, there used to be a comedian way back before you people were even thought of. And there used to be a comedian that used to go on and say, so you say you have troubles today. So you say you have no money. So you say that your girlfriend broke up with you. So is that what's bothering you, Bunky? That's the thing. That was he always used to say that. So my father, if I complained, well, in my day, you didn't have much you couldn't complain without getting the shot in the ass with a slipper or a shoe. So anyway, if you complained, he would say, oh, is that what's bothering you, Bunky? That's what he would always say to me. So it just carried in my personalities. I would say to you guys in the morning, I think I'd say, good morning, Bunksters. How are you? Right? I think I said that to you. Somebody else reminded me of that too, not too long ago. They said, how are you, Bunky? They said to me. And it's kind of a lovingly.
I know.
Yes, you can't say that today much. I couldn't say that today much. If I walked into a classroom today, you got to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
I think you all know that today. It's just, I can't say that today. A lot of things, they're a little hypersensitive, right?
Yep.
That's right. Well, I'm sorry, but I do have to go because I am hosting a dinner party that's going on.
Good luck, Carla. Only you would host a dinner party at this juncture.
But I do have to say, for one last final note, is that, I also had my opportunity of teaching. I did teach for 10 years. I was head of faculty at a local secondary school. I taught French and Spanish. But I do hope I've inspired as many people as you have. That's my own.
Carla, I'm sure you did.
Carla, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Jason. What a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time, Carla.
I'll be following you one way or another. I will be following you.
Thanks for taking the time, Carla.
Good to see you as well. I'm proud of you.
Bye.
Bye, Carla.
Zoom technology, Mr. D. It makes it.
I know, everybody's in and out. Boom, boom, boom.
How it could all be a Zoom. It's like little bees buzzing around, right? Little bees, as you call us.
Well, I had to teach one semester by Zoom because of the pandemic. Teach it. Mid-year, they changed over. Oh, what a mess that was. But I had to transition over to this. And who would show, who showed, who didn't show, like it was all that kind of thing. Who flopped out, who was laying on their bed. Oh man, what a mess. So.
I just want to thank you, Mr. D, for coming on today. And I want to thank Joe and Tracy and.
Oh my God, guys. Thank you so much.
For calling
thank you
with us this moment.
For so much accolades and even to make me feel good.
Likewise.
At this point, I'm retired, and you're disconnected a little. So because, when you're in school or when you're working, that's kind of becomes a social core sometimes. And I had a hard time retiring. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little disconnected. I should have brought my wife in here when you're saying that. I said, this is what I miss. I should have brought my wife in. She would have never. She goes, you mean they could see you? I go, yeah, they can. But I sound antiquated, right, Trace?
Oh,
no, never.
Well, Joe, those.
Oh, Audrey. Hi, she said.
I mean, Mr. D, those comments aren't surprising coming from you, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm in the financial planning world for 15 years, and folks will occasionally ask me, so when are you going to use your counseling background? And I smile because every day it's a chance to tell folks about where true wealth is. It's everything you have that money can't buy and death can't take away. And it's relationships like this, right, that are great reminders of it's who's in your life, right, that really brings fulfillment, not what's in your life. And so thank you again for being an instrumental role in making that a reality.
I always open the classroom, and I think I don't remember if I did in the high school. I always say everybody's a teacher. So it doesn't matter. Everybody's a counselor. If you just let it happen, because we're all as I told Jason, I have a hard time with, he had asked me if there's a book that inspired me and all. I'm really not a big author person. I'm a big information person. I gather information from other resources, and I'm always looking for something. That's just the way I'm wired. There is no real author that I have that I favor or inspiration. I'm sure if you wrote a book, I'd read it because it was you. And I said to Jason, I get inspired from people, reading people, listening to people. And I actually listen to people, what they say. And I always make reference, even in the classroom now on the college level, I say, Jason told me, a friend of mine, Jason told me one time, and I would use that as the reference, as the footnote, so that was where I get my inspiration. That's hard to leave, You right, Gisette?
I was gonna say, I love the way you said that. And Joe, your input right now just helps summarize the whole concept of what I'm doing with this new show, which is showing not only the mentor and the amazing person the mentor is, but the glue that holds the mentor to everyone else they inspire, right? And that's how we showed up today. That's how we've had this amazing conversation honoring Mr. D. It doesn't take much to honor a great person, right? When you see someone who's a great person, it doesn't take a lot to show that. And that's what I think is the point of what I wanted to do today, which makes me so ecstatic that we were able to have everyone involved and make this reality. This is my bucket list right here. One was getting my mom on my other show to talk about Woodstock, and the second.
Oh my God!
Nice. Well on your way, Jason.
Right
I just heard Joe Cocker the other day, by the way, on the radio. I was singing in the car
my bucket
by
list
myself.
right now, so it's exciting. And I got Tracy on here. I haven't got anything yet.
If you remember, I had a record player in my classroom too. Do you remember that?
Did you play a speaker?
I love
The Renaissance man.
remember it was Tunes for Tuesday. I used to say, bring a song in and analyze the lyrics for sociology.
Oh my
Jason,
God.
you would write.
I remember it. Yeah, I do. Very
So true.
That was my lesson plan for Tuesday.
Joe Cocker.
Tracy, my lesson plan.
I loved your lesson plans.
Yeah, tunes for Tuesday.
I'm still thinking about when you said the projector earlier, because they used to pay me to go around NYU to put people's projectors together, and I'm not an IT person at all.
No,
and I'm just like, I would run into classes being like, "You're paying me to do this?" I was like, "What?"
I know.
But you know what? You are natural. That's how it is.
Oh God.
So many good memories.
Thank you so much, Trey.
Thank you.
Thank you all
Yes.
very much. I do appreciate it. You're not all that far, folks. So someday we could all have a lunch or something.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Have that drink, maybe. Have that wine.
We know.
It'll be an honor for us, Mr. At least we could do this today and honor you this way in terms of everything going on.
Jason, thank you. You are to talk about glue and the pillar. Only you would pull that off. Really, and go through the logistical nightmare of doing that. I see it as a logistical craziness.
Not at all. It was an enjoyment and a pleasure and a way I could do something in a unique way. And that's all I wanted to do.
Thank you. Did this destroy your podcast, or like, what do you do now with this?
No, this is an extra podcast I'm doing for a new show called Let's Recognize Our Best. And you're the inaugural episode of that. So you're the launching point from which other episodes now can see the concept of what I'm trying to do, because you're my personal mentor, my high school teacher, a great influence. Tracy and Joe and Ann and Beth and everyone know that. And having it shown this way, now I have the concept to share. Have other people come on.
Thank you.
I'm inspiring my audience to nominate people they wish that they're Mr. D's in their life, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, I want to thank you all for tuning into this episode. And I want to thank everyone who joined us on our call today. Mr. D, I can't, words cannot express the gratitude of you to be able to participate in this event, make it happen, roll with the punches of it, enjoy it. And I just think you could see very clearly our love for you as an inspiration and as a true mentor and as somebody who's going to really inspire us for many years to come.
Thank you. It's just what we talked about, Jay. You never know what kind of an impression you're going to make on people. I never knew that. You asked me that question.
Absolutely.
So I guess you kind of proved differently. You proved it. So
yeah, I'm just going to break away for 1 second, guys. You can stay on. I'm just going to break away for a second and then just stay quiet for a second. I'm just going to do the outro to this real quick, and then we'll wrap it up.
What does that mean, bro?
I just want to thank the audience. I just want to thank the audience for tuning into this episode, the inaugural episode of Let's Recognize Our Best podcast. This show is to seek to inspire others, nominate those in your life who you feel might be your Mr. D, your mentor, someone who's very close to you that you wish to recognize the attributes of success from an outstanding educator, mentor, unsung hero, coach, anyone's as such. This has been a bucket list item for me. I have to be honest. I'll be a little selfish to share that with you. And it's so exciting to have it come to fruition. So for anyone tuning into this episode and learning about mentoring and just having a special relationship with someone in your life, just really appreciate what we discussed today. Look between the lines, see the gratitude and the inspiration Mr. D shares with all of us, and think about that in your own life. Do you have a strong relationship with mentors in your life? Do you help and inspire others? If not, try to do so. Because when you do so, you may leave a very strong impact. Thank you so much. Stay positive, because when you're positive, anything's possible.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Let's Recognize Our Best podcast with Jason Zook. We're glad that you joined us for this discussion and look forward to featuring unsung heroes, outstanding advocates, and others in the future. If you enjoyed the show, We'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can also check us out on social media. Until next time, be authentic, appreciate those who make a difference, keep an open mind, and aspire to live a life full of unconditional love and mutual respect.